Phala Nazarine. I am out here in California. I'm from Los Angeles. I'm actually in Orange County, Irvine to be specific. Um, so I guess today we're gonna because I'm a child developer, so that's the field I started in many years ago before I even had children, and my children are all adults. Um, so again, I started in child development, which of course is child psychology and just the whole child. And now, and I've been a caregiver, foster parent, and as well as a caregiver for disabled and elderly. Um, and I have been fostering um, children with different mental, of course, based on their circumstances, mental disability, not necessarily disabilities, just mental challenges based on their circumstances, as well as some who, of course, um, you know, they were diagnosed with ADHD,
Right.
autism, or whatever, whatnot. And so I decided to go deeper into the field um, as far as the therapy. And we were discussing therapy in terms of physical therapy and therapy for the mind, um,
Hmm.
dealing with any kind of drugs. So that's where I am. That's what I'm studying, and that is the field that I'm in. I'm an ABA tech, which is applied behavioral analysis. So we deal with children again with mental challenges, autism, ADHD, things that you probably angel syndrome, things you've never even heard of. And again, where I come in is I'm not going to have a voice when it comes to medicating our children. I'm
Right.
because of my profession, I have to stay clear of that. But I'm a strong advocate for mental health therapy and
Right.
finding ways to tap into the whole child as an individual child, not the whole child as what we see or deem as normal, because we all have different learning styles, and some of these children are extremely intelligent. They just have learning styles that are different from our own. So they may
Okay.
in on certain things and master certain things, but don't have any concern about other things, and so therefore they don't take the time. And so what we have to do is tap into those things that they're don't, because some of them there's like it's as simple as I'm a mathematician, but I don't want to brush my teeth. I don't really want to learn how to use the restroom. So I'm 12 and 13 and 15 years old, and I'm wearing a pull up to bed because again, I can say a lot of stuff, but I'm not going to say a lot of stuff because of the field that I'm in. You know what I'm
Right.
saying?
Right. Understood. Understood.
Thinking about things, but then and then I can deal with the reality of what's going on, which is again we have to tap into what makes them tick, because what makes me tick is not what makes you tick. You know what I mean? And
Right.
my teachers and parents and all of the people around me had to figure out what made Fela tick. You know,
Right.
yeah, that was a lot. That was a big introduction.
No, I mean it's so on point, Phil. I mean you're the expert, so I mean I want you to, and I want you to feel at home here because on Therapy Thursdays we deal with a lot of alternative medicine and natural remedies. So our whole goal here is to avoid the psychotropes. I mean people are seeking more natural remedies, more home remedies. People are willing to pay for like um, family remedies for like ailments, as opposed to buying the Tylenols, buying the Advils, buying you know, all that. And so, people of all races want to go more the natural route. So, we like to deal with a lot of uh, natural healings. One thing I always talk, and I always talk about is, food is our medicine.
Right.
And because, well, okay, well, you want to touch on that real quick or?
Okay, again, because of the field that I'm in, I can't go too far to to the left or to the right. But
Okay,
in
that's fine.
fact, we know that we should let our food be our medicine. And
Okay.
in dealing with mental health, I want to just backtrack a little bit.
Okay.
Um, It is really difficult when in this field, especially at the point that where I am working with the children, to 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 not just recognize that these children are going to be on some medications, okay? Because they
Understood. Right.
they have their primary care physicians and they have their parents who are usually very trusting of the of the the medical industry, the medical practice.
Well, no.
So,
Well, Phil, I'm not saying I'm not trying to discourage from the psychotrops. What I'm
no,
saying is that okay, okay,
what I wanted to say, I just wanted to add on to that,
okay,
that we have to, regardless to however, I mean, even some of these parents probably would like to do some more natural things, considering that a lot of them, like I said, you spent several years dealing with autism or
right,
ADHD or just these, and you're medicating and you're getting therapy and not much is working. So of course, I mean, I can't lean into them on what, but what I can do is lean in on diet. That's what I wanted to say. I can't
right,
I
right,
cannot I cannot speak on what the child is taking, my opinion about autism and vaccinations,
right.
any of that. But what
That
I
that's fine.
can
Yeah,
say is, but what I can do is and say is, and it's, to me, it's the most important part of my job entering into this field, is as a nutritionalist and a herbalist and a naturalist.
right,
I can't go into homes and put that bug in the ear, because a lot of times with our children, um, out of pure ignorance,
I know where
we
you're
want
going.
them to behave, and we use the wrong tools. And
Break
so,
it down.
learn a lot about our what we reward our children with when we do these therapies and whatnot. And a lot of times, like when I was doing the training, we would like we'd be funny. Okay, we're doing this for M&Ms. We're doing this for
Right,
tips and this and that. But the reality is, we have the opportunity as therapists and as techs to walk into the homes and change the minds and of even the parents. Like, okay, well, I know that before you would reward chips and cookies and this and that, we have
right,
to find a different reward. We have to,
right,
and also we have to retrain these children's taste buds. That's the reality of it. They're addicted to sugar, just like they're addicted to the drugs. Because again, if every time you want your child to sit down, just imagine, are regular children who are off the chain, right? And you're giving
right.
lollipops and this and that and whatever to sit down and be quiet and all that stuff, right? I mean, that was the old lady thing at church. You give them candy. Meanwhile, they're acting even worse in like 5 minutes, right? Because
That's
again,
right.
old school way of doing it. But we have to again let our food be our medicine and challenge parents to have patience enough to get through the rocky time, because there's going to
Right,
be a period of challenging children who are not going to be ready for this change. But if you can get over that hump, you can save yourself 10, 20 years of suffrage for this human being that you need to be training as a child on how to
that's right.
eat, how to control. Because again, we're dealing, in my opinion. Now, again, I can have to say, in my opinion, a lot of these challenges that they have with mental health is chemical imbalance. Chemical
Right,
imbalance, number one, and then number two, diet. Number two, diet. You know what I mean? Number two, diet. If you don't know how to feed your child, then you're gonna be dealing with mucus. You're gonna be dealing with allergies. You're gonna be dealing with hyperactivity, and then you're gonna call it
right,
ADHD, and it's not fair to the child, and it's not even fair to yourself to not get to the root of what's going on. So yeah, going into homes, that's one of the most important things that I can say. Even going into the schools, because when you're shadowing a child who has behavioral issues, you're there to see what they're eating for lunch. You check out the lunch,
right.
and then
Absolutely.
put a little note home. I don't think it's really wise to let such and such have two Snickers and Doritos and this and that,
Right,
and donuts and honey buns and all this stuff packed in a lunch, and you expect for us to be able to work with them during the day. You expect for
right,
them to be able to sit still during the day, and then again, you keep on falling back on this ADHD and this, all these behaviors that you're saying they're having when they're displaying the same exact behaviors that my child would display if they walked out of the house on Captain Crunch, a cup
hmm.
of Kool-Aid, and snuck off with a lollipop in their back pocket. So
So
absolutely, please let us let our to feed our children like we know that the food is the So that we know that our food is the remedy.
So then I'm gonna have to ask you this question, Fela. How much of that pushback actually comes from the parents?
Well, I'm gonna say, like I said, they parents have to take the responsibility because you can get a lot. Of course, most of the pushback will come from the parents because again, if this is the way you pacify your child, and it's the quickest way, and they're 12 years old, and you've been doing this since they were 5, and again, you have maybe a 12-year-old who is still, 5,
Right.
mentally, but physically they're, so again, a parent who is not trained, who is getting tired, who is overwhelmed. I mean, you're going to be overwhelmed anyway with your normal. Like I like to say normal because what is
Hmm.
normal? What your so-called normal behavior child. So this child again, it's a challenge, and you have to be willing to go through the bumpy, hard changes to get to the smooth transition. Or you're
Right.
never going to get to that transition. That's why I said you end up with a child that's from 5 to 12. You don't do the work from 12 to 18, then you're going to end up with a 28-year-old who's still 5, who's still 6, who's 28.
Right. Right.
Absolutely. It is the fact. We've seen it. And like you said, across the board, there's no mental health has nothing to do with ethnicity, race, none of that.
That's
Political,
right.
none of that. The children that I deal with, it doesn't matter what race they are. Again, even the parents, it doesn't matter because when you see the frustration with these parents who love the
Hmm.
children, and then I mean, I've seen in my training, I've seen therapists who are frustrated with the parents because they've been with these parents and these children for years, and they seem like they know when the parents are engaged, and they know when the parents are just tired. They're just tired. They're tired. Some of the parents are, some of the children, I should say, a lot
Hmm.
of the children that we will encounter are in the system, and they're
Right.
staying with auntie, they're staying with a grandma, they're staying with straight strangers. So, just imagine a stranger, even an auntie. If you come in her home, you love the child, but here they come with these extra issues. Then you got your own child who is typical teenager who could be snapping off and acting just as whatever as this one. You know what I mean? But then
Right.
here comes the behaviors that are above and beyond the behaviors that you're used to with your child.
Right.
I'm the screaming teenager, and I got screaming. I had screaming teenage girls. So I was like, ah! I'm like, what's going on? There's war going on over there, right? But again, I know my girls, and they might even they ain't never had a fight with nobody in the street, but they didn't have fights with each other. Okay,
Right.
now put your beloved child, and your beloved nephew. Okay, you love your nephew, but you ain't never had to have him in your home. See what I'm saying? Your niece, you never had to have him in your home, sharing with your daughter. Okay, and then and then when you hear the fighting, it's not the same as when you hear your two daughters fighting. You hear them fighting because you
Right.
know that this one with the mental A might go to the kitchen and grab a knife. Okay, because that's how
Right.
extreme the behaviors become. And again, it's the parents' fault. And I say that again. I'm telling y'all, it's your fault if you don't take the time out and get to work them kinks. Go through the rough period. Go through the rough period at 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Go through that rough period of finding out what makes that child tick, what makes that child get up off their ass and go to the bathroom, because you don't want to do it. It's not fair for you to let a child be brilliant at one thing and then won't get off their ass and go use the bathroom. That's what I come in because I don't play them games. I'm not going to let a genius tell me that they can't get off their ass and go piss. It's not real. It's a matter of, again, nobody was willing to be like, hey, dumping buckets on, because that's what you need to do. In my opinion, you need to dump buckets on kids, wake them up 4 or 5 times a night. My son, I mean, boys are boys. Boys, you know what I mean? He ain't got
Hmm.
nothing wrong upstairs, but I had to get on his ass until about 11 years old for him to stop doing the bathroom thing. You know what I mean? Like I have to get
Right.
I'm already up anyway half the night. But again, I go to the bathroom, go to the bathroom. And again, when once they know they can't be lazy like that. Number one, you train your body, right? When you
Okay.
have a 15-year-old who's wearing a depend, you've trained their body. They're training their body to use the bathroom.
Right.
You know, and again, I say all this to say that it's important that we not give up on our children and not give up on strategy to
That's right.
make their lives better. because it ain't about how the regular child gets down. It's about how your child with a mental challenge is going to get down. And believe me, there are children with mental challenges who who grew up to be grown men and grown women with masterful plans in mind, doing great things. And it's because somebody cared enough, whether it was a mother, a father, a grandmother, a teacher. There are people who will key in on your child. That's how that to me, that's my job. When I walk into a house, if
Right.
I'm applying to a child, I need to key in on some things. I
Right.
need if a parent can't, then I need to, in between all of the people working with them, the primary care physician, therapist, all these people, we are a team of folks that need to key in on each and every aspect of this child as a whole entire child. Okay, so that they can get the tools that they need to be successful adults, and not keep on
Right.
with this system of, oh, well, we'll just keep medicating them, and then they'll be, they'll
Right.
then they'll be 25, oh, then they'll be 35, and then they'll be in a wheelchair, and then they start going backwards because you've never given them tools to go forwards. You see
Right.
what I'm saying? So you have, I mean, and I know so many people who, and I personally, who have children, and it upsets me. So just let me know. It upsets me when I see,
It's okay.
you see me getting upset.
Take your time. Take your time, Vela. Take your
It
time.
upsets me when you have these children who are adults and you don't take that time out. You know what I'm saying? Because people, you don't take the time out when you're young, in your 30s and your 20s when you first, and then when you're in your 50s and your 60s and you got this 30-year-old child who's for, almost 40. Like I said, I have
Hmm.
people in my family, so I'm gonna speak on it. Who had retarded children who, when they started off, they were running, active, everything. Everybody knows one particular cousin who, again, she's a little, maybe 5 years younger than me. Okay, running, whatever, whatever. She was just slow. Next thing you know, like I said, she's down. She went from running, jumping, skipping, being a normal child with autism or whatever she had to wheelchair. She's had a stroke. She's
Mm.
reading, and this is a what 40-something-year-old woman who went from being a child who just had developmental things going on to where, because there was no care given to make sure, then, again, never made sure that she was toilet trained, never made sure.
Right.
Yeah, and
Now,
again,
how
who,
does that?
guess what, there are people who are in her exact same position who are right now working at Walmart at 40, working at
Right.
Walmart. You understand the difference between those two individuals? One had a team of people who gave a damn, and one had a team of people who probably cared, but didn't care enough to make sure that you got on track and was able to be self-sufficient.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? You don't do that. You don't take somebody because they supposedly have disabilities and totally enable them. To
Right.
the point where
Right.
they
Right.
become an invalid and in a wheelchair. And just because you never thought that it was important to because they were slow. Okay, again, when you say that somebody is 11, but they have the mind of a 5-year-old, well, a 5-year-old can go to the bathroom. So don't tell
Right.
me that child has a mind of a, they're 15 and they got the mind of a 10-year-old. A 10-year-old can go to the bathroom. A
Well,
10-year-old can
Fela,
train your body to,
I'm gonna.
to sleep through the night. Again, so, and even a parent can train a 10-year-old, right? So
Hmm.
there's no excuse, is what I'm saying. There's no excuse. So
Well, Fela, you definitely. We at the arena give you your flowers because that sounds like a lot of work. I mean, a lot of extensive work to, like you said, you have to go in and train and actually retrain and train young adults or kids. And like we talked about before, a lot of this comes from the parents not setting the standard. So yeah, you know,
and
a
it's
team of people.
definitely a team effort. There's no way that one person can be responsible. Even the parents, the parents are not
Hmm.
or trained. None of us can. It takes a team effort. It definitely does.
Okay.
Okay,
Okay.
the time that the researchers spend, the psychologists and whatnot spend, coming up with specialized activities for each child. So
Hmm.
a lot of extensive work again, and it's trial and error. So we could come up with a whole program, but then in 6 months, if it's not working, we have to tweak it and make it work. So
Right.
again, I mean, I can't totally blame I blame the parents if they don't get the team because it's out here for you. You can get a team of people. I don't blame you for not knowing what to do. I just want all parents to understand that it's not up to you to. You're not alone, and don't feel like you're alone.
Right.
Get the help and the support that you need because it's there. You need it. Your child needs it, and you will be so grateful. Like I said, do the work now so that in the future, I said it'll be the difference between your child being a successful adult at whatever level or mental capacity. You give them the tools that they need to be successful, and you have no idea what they can accomplish. So
Right.
never give up on your child. Never. And I've seen
Hmm.
people just give up on their children, and when you give up on your child, you're giving up on yourself. You're giving up on your family.
Right. That's a fact. Um, Now, because I know in the field you have to be very careful. Now, do you take like a log of what they eat and then kind of like, okay, we need to eliminate this, add more of this, eliminate this? Is that a
No, that's not really, not at all. I
okay?
should say not really, not because diet is not. It's something that I feel like is important, and you can discuss it with. Again,
Okay.
some families, of course, that's going to be important because a lot of times, some the children, like I said, food is a lot of times the reward. So we get children
Right.
overweight and stuff like that. So I mean, it sometimes just happens to be a part of the program, but in general, it isn't. Like I said, when we have some of the texts who are actually rewarding with. I mean, like I did a child last week overlap where the reward was what do you call it? Gummy, the gummy,
Yeah, gummy bears,
the lifesaver things.
lifesavers. Yeah.
Yeah. So again, you know, and my thing, like I said, when I'm dealing with it, even if that is the reward, like I said, yeah, that's like, oh, you get one. So, and you can come up with better rewards. And in general,
Right.
um,
And I'll always like to say this is when you have like gummy bears and all those type of two things, sugar and salt. Sugar and salt damage our taste buds. Not permanently, but they damage them. Meaning, if you eat sugar, then you try to eat fruit, that's not going to work. You eat salt and then try to eat something, I don't know, most vegetable. Yeah, it's and that's why a lot of kids reject it because they're once they hit that sugar hits their mouth, then their taste buds are neutralized, and it's neutralized for a while. Your taste
And
buds have to
I'm
recoup.
almost the opposite because I do a lot of fasting, and that's why that's like what we need to introduce to the families. Just like you said,
Mm,
switching and retraining taste buds. Because I'm like opposite. I try to eat something that's like, even if I try to just get like fries from fast food places, I have to tell them no salt because it
yeah,
makes me sweat and because I'm not used to it. So yeah, yeah. If there's, I mean, we again, when you're dealing with mental health and children, you really need to check out what they're eating, what's in your
right.
refrigerator, okay,
Hmm.
before you go into any drastic measures, because you can modify behavior simply by changing diet. And I mean, we all know that. You
Right,
modify
right,
behavior, modify, okay, your health. You can,
right.
of course, change the health of a child by making sure that they're eating the proper things. But and again, we see a lot of children overweight in this field because
Now
you got
talk about that. I know that plays a big part. The overweight, hypertension in children, because you're seeing a lot of ailments that people in their 40s and 50s are so supposed to get, and you got children getting
yeah,
these
the
ailments now.
diabetes and all kinds
That
of stuff like that. Yeah. Well, again, it's because a lot of the food is genetically modified. Of course, we know that, and a lot of it's just a lot. The fast food, the whole parents on the go. It seems like what I've noticed. This is honestly just across the board, not even just and it's just with children in general. the medium to lower income families, and when I do it, I mean, you know, I don't mean just poor, straight out poor, but between the middle to lower income and
Hmm.
working and
Working class.
um, the lower and medium income are the ones who are actually cooking at home, and the children are getting
Hmm.
more solid meals. And
Okay.
so again, you have these rich parents who are dealing with these children who have disabilities, and then they're constantly going through the drive-through because they're not necessarily and there are some parents, and again, you will find in the homes of people who are more traditional, like Asians and East Asian and
Koreans.
Oriental, whatever. They're just I mean, there's not really anything that they just run through the drive-through and get in general. I'm not saying all Asians and all Indians, but they're used to going home and eating dinner. And
Right.
again, when you get to the just the whole element of going home and eating dinner, maybe even having breakfast on the weekends where it's not a bowl of cereal, it's actually, some cooked food, you know.
Okay.
Um, I find that, like I said, the lower to income, they have more traditional ways as far as that. And
Okay.
people are going through the drive-through, spending like money talks type thing. At the end of the day, money cannot buy you health, unless you're buying the proper food to put in your body with that money to buy you some health. So,
Right.
again, um, what we need to start doing is, I mean, of course, you can't tell people, well, you need to cook at home, because these people, again, they're not
Right.
millionaires, and they're not in their class because they can stay at home and cook, but maybe just kind of, again, putting the bug in their ear, fast food is not going to, and the child needs, at least 3 days, Monday through Friday. Okay, if you're gonna go 2 days, Monday through Friday, and get some, but your child can't have a home cooked meal, a dinner for him.
Right.
You know, again, these things, you can be bashful or you can be forward with a parent that you're trying to help and say these are the things that are going to make it better. These are
Okay.
with the food that they're serving, because I've seen that too. I've noticed that as well. When you go into a traditional home, it just depends on styles and things when it comes to that. I'm not going to say that, but the difference between somebody pulling out a whole lasagna and somebody actually standing in the kitchen making a lasagna. You know what I mean? To preserve your
Hmm.
vegetables. Again, these are the things that we have to try to go back to when we talk about food. Let our food be our medicine. We need to
Right.
that when we're feeding our children, we're not opening up a can of SpaghettiOs. We're actually going and making our fresh sauce like our grandmothers and mothers used to do back in the day. Making real pots of spaghetti and
Right.
learn how to you can freeze. I mean, I've done it so many times because I'm a big old pot of spaghetti. It's not that so you can freeze that stuff instead of getting canned stuff and just put it out in the freezer. And you're gonna have to figure out ways to feed your children good. But this is for everybody, okay? Because
Okay.
children are gonna have some behavior issues with eating crap food. So we have to really decide for ourselves wherever you are, whatever you're doing. Okay, even if you have to pay somebody, you got enough money, to go to the drive-through, then pay somebody to come meal prep. I mean, because it's a life and death situation. And again, you're not living at 28 if you're in a wheelchair and got to depend on because your mother didn't feel like it's important enough for you because you're retarded to learn how to be potty trained.
Right.
Effed up. you know. So I don't know. I don't know any other way to say that other than yeah. These are the things that I see, and these are the things that. And I mean, people ask, "Well, you should call, CPS." It's not about calling CPS because you got to help. You know what I mean?
Right.
You got
Right.
tools. No, because I've seen other people in the field who, I mean, I haven't. I don't deal with extreme cases because I have foster children, but I had like one child that had Asperger's, and I didn't end up having him because he was 17, about to be 18. Ended up, but anyway, so I've never had any of the extreme, the ones I've had been younger, But
Right.
again, when you have been working with a child for 3 years, you end up knowing that child just almost as well as the parents,
Right. Right.
and you know the parents pretty well, and you know when the parents are for real, and you know when the parents are BSing, and the parents can't BS before. They can BS for maybe 3 months. Maybe 3 months. Some of them can't BS 3 sessions. So you know what they really are, you know. And
Right.
some of it is just I just need a break. So I just need somebody to come here 3, 4 days a week and take my child for 4 hours and get them out of my face. And again, I'm not mad at that either. But again, whatever I'm there for, if it's to get the child, you're in, because you still got to be in our shot anyway. If I'm getting the child away from you, I need to know that whatever we're working on, when I leave, when I come back,
Hmm.
you've still been upholding that. You know what I mean? Even
Right.
if it's just as basic as, but to me, like I said, my thing is if I find out that there's a 12-year-old or a 9-year-old who has the mental capacity of a six, you know what I mean? They're like barely off, and we're still wearing the pins. My number one thing is we're gonna get them off them. We're getting them we're getting them potty trained because that's the number one thing you have to be as an adult is able to go wash your ass, use the bathroom. The very basic, but again, you would be surprised at how many of these special ed classrooms. That's why they have shadows because those people got to go with them into the bathroom and change their pants. Why? Because they're 15 years old, can cuss you out, might
Right.
might even be sexually active, but they don't want to get off their ass and go to the bathroom. That's unacceptable. I
Right.
don't accept that. I don't accept that because I know damn well it ain't no mental illness where you can do all of that, but you can't go. No, that's being lazy. Okay,
Right.
lazy parent, lazy child, lazy primary care, lazy therapist. Because the therapist that your mental health therapist needs to be telling you something as well. You know,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. And I'm glad you said that because, like I said, I always like to do this show as a follow up, meaning, a doctor can prescribe you medicine, psychotropes, and all that, but then they can't really get off into the diet per se.
No, they can't.
They can't, right? And so that's where we come in.
I've taken no oath.
Hmm.
In my field, I've taken no oath.
Okay.
I've taken no oath. I mean, I got to do what I got to do to make sure, in the privacy and whatnot. But I don't have no oath where I can't tell you what. I mean, I just, I wouldn't want to lose my job by saying too much to a family. But doctors have a specific oath that they take, and they can't do certain things, or say certain things, or declare certain things, or let you know about certain things. Where I could know all about it and tell you all about it, but the doctor can't. The doctor can tell me to tell you some stuff because they can't tell you.
Right, right, because right, conflict, right, and my thing is, man, because I know, sometimes failing when you're dealing with diet, it's like to some people it's so personal. It's so personal, and it's like you said earlier, where you got the parent awarding the child with maybe some Oreo cookies or some Skittles, and the parents, and I know you'll agree to that, they're the gatekeepers of what is coming in the house and out of the house. You cannot get Skittles inside the house unless the parent buys it.
Right.
So I don't care how many Skittles that the child uh, demands or have a fit for, it's up to that parent to buy it and bring it in the house. So, my hats off to you again because, like I said, you talking about, I always tell people this that when they say a person is uh, have parents that's alcoholic and they're most likely to be alcoholic, they're inheriting a habit. So it's just like if your parents have a bad eating habit and they have high blood pressure and diabetes, you're picking up their diet. You're not picking up the disease. You cannot pass down the disease. That's a misnomer that a lot of people have.
It's the
You don't.
life. Right. It's the lifestyle, and like you said, you're giving, passing on habits that are sure to pass on whatever disease that your body has. If you got cancer, you're smoking cigarettes, and you know, breathing toxic air. Even it's as common as the asbestos that was going, giving a
Right.
bunch of people, our generation and a couple of generations back. Um, everybody in the house is going to ingest and get the cancer. So
Right.
It's not generational. It's a matter of getting the cancer out, getting whatever is causing the cancer out. So
The
absolutely,
habits.
yeah,
I always say it's the habits. It's the
that happens.
habits. Yeah, you don't just birth a child and that child has cancer or high blood pressure or diabetes. No,
Love sweets in general,
thank
you know,
you.
or doesn't like that, or doesn't like this. The children like whatever you give them until you give them the option to start talking about what they don't like. Really,
Hmm.
I mean, we know that as children, we ate everything from potato sandwiches and mayonnaise sandwiches, shoot, everything. We liked
Right.
anything. I like that.
Right.
You know what I mean? So anyway, yeah, we definitely have a ways to go, but I feel like as long as there are people like me and yourself and just people in general who care about the future of these our children in general, and not just
Hmm.
our children who we want to have put on pedestals and have all these accolades for, but our children who are supposedly least of us. You know what I mean?
Right.
And the families who have to care for them. It's important that we don't
Hmm.
forget about these children and these families, and we need to target them and making sure that these children have an opportunity to be the best human beings that they can be as adults. And it starts, right here, right now with us.
That's right.
Whoever is around that child and giving them the tools that they need. And again, I would not, because I feel like I kind of came down on the parents. So giving the children as well as the parents, the family, the caregivers, the guardians, giving them the tools that they need to make sure that this child has a fair chance at a decent life. Like I said, I've seen it. I'm sure we've all seen, um, you know, handicapped,
Right.
disabled people working in all different fields, and all of each and every one of our children, no matter what it is, they can do and be anything that they want to be. Even it would They can be blind, they can be deaf, they can be mute, they can. There's something in their hearts that they want to be, and it's our job to give them the tools to get to that. Get to that. Who do I want to be? What do I want to do? You don't just leave a human being to have nothing and be nothing because you've given up on them. So all they are is just a vessel taking up space. I mean, how hurtful do you think that child feels? You know what I mean? To be
Right.
the one in the room who you have siblings and mom and dad and siblings are all engaged in this and that, and you never even prepare activities to make sure that this child is engaged. I've seen it, and
Right.
it's upsetting. You don't have. It's not cool. You don't push a therapist and a child to the side while you and your normal children are watching TV or playing a game. You get engaged. You get activities that you can include this child in. I mean, I see nothing wrong with it, okay, because you have children, other children, so you do have to make sure that they feel some kind of normalcy. But at the same time, you have to make sure that we all recognize that our normal is different from everybody else's normal, and this is our family, and
Right.
this child, girl, boy, whatever, is a part of this family, and we need to have activities that include this child. And we need to, if need be, lower our expectation of an event or whatever to make sure that this child feels just as included so that they can start developing and catching up. Because I'm
Right.
never going to catch up if I'm always looked at as the one who never made it past five, with mentally. It's
Right.
okay, well, this is what the doctor said, but we're not worried about what the doctors say. We're gonna get a team, and we're gonna make sure that we invest in this child. And people have done it. People have done it.
Talk about it, Caleb. Talk about it.
People have done it. People have made sure that their child got everything that they needed to be successful. They have. Those are those people that you see who you're like, oh wow, how did they? Yeah, those are the parents and the team who care. They care. They cared enough to say that this child is not going to be left behind. No matter what's going on with them, they're going to be able
Hmm.
to be a functional adult in society. Okay, and that's what we have to do. We can't just give up. Okay, not at
Okay.
any point. Whether it's and again, some of these children, it's not they're well developed or whatever. They have behavioral issues like violence, and that's why I said you never know. Um, but again, even with that, you have to get to the root of. As I've listened to children talking, and They're like, oh, this child is violent, this child, and I don't know what's wrong with the child. And then I sit up and one question answer. It's like, well, how was your weekend? Oh, I had a visit with mom. Boom. Okay, it didn't take me long to figure out that's why the child is not cool today. It's Monday. They just had their visit with their mom, who's they're in foster care, or whatever. Yeah,
Right.
yeah. And even when you ask, that could be triggering. The child could be having a perfectly good day, and then you say, well, "How was your weekend?" Oh, it goes back to I had to visit with mom. Now the behavior, the session is off because now I was in a safe space, and then I was reminded of the person I love most of the time, my mom.
Right.
Losing my mom. And again, they call these behavioral issues and all that. Try snatching you from your mama.
Right.
Okay. And let's see how many behavioral issues you have. Okay. So yeah.
Um, I want to ask this question, Faith, because you say never give up. It's too late. So I guess I don't know. I guess I don't know if I'm putting you on the spot asking you this particular question, but how many adults are out there with these behaviors and problems? And I mean, because I know you said you work with kids, but how many of these people are
Let me
getting
tell
off into adulthood?
I'm gonna tell you something. That's why I said a lot of these children, it's straight behavioral, and they'll put them in special needs, especially because of behavioral issues. I would say that 50%, and now this is my guesstimation,
Okay, fair enough.
but I believe it's the facts. Okay, number one, all of those minorities, black and brown,
Hispanic, yeah.
prison. I believe half of them are on the higher end of mental illness and probably have been suffering since they were a child. And
Right,
probably um, post traumatic, stress and syndrome is one of the major. Um, that's what most of these children are. Like I said, children who are being pulled from their homes and have to go into care or whatever. But these adults, these are the adults, the ones who are in prison. And that's where they are. They're in prison. Why? Because they weren't given the tools to get out here and survive. I mean, folks like you and I were given tools and we're struggling.
right. That's true.
So just imagine someone who has never given the tools or never even nobody even thought that it was even really important for them to graduate from high school. It was more important for you to learn how to sit down. You know what I mean?
Right, right.
You know, and that's the community that I'm talking.
Okay.
These children who were diagnosed, medicated, and ran through the school system. Like I said, you got passed through just on good behavior, not necessarily to see if you could go to college or pick up a trade or any of that. It was just to maintain a classroom and keep you medicated and damn near childcare. You know what I mean? Like sit
Right,
down
right, right.
special
And
ed and classes and classrooms that are specifically set up for caregivers and ABA, techs and people to come shadow folk to come in and around the clock. It's like childcare because we're not making sure that these children are developing or doing. We're not even making sure that if they can develop. You know what I mean?
mhm,
I just want to be real clear about when I say that we are not challenging our children when you have a 12-year-old who can read at you know a 18, 17-year-old level, comprehend at a 17-year-old's level, but they're not going to the bathroom. You know what I mean? Like, and I mean they may be
right,
going to the bathroom for the day, but you allow them to put on a pull-up or a depend at nighttime. You know, because for whatever reason you decided that this is okay. Maybe just because you don't want your stuff sorted. You know, so I'm saying we have to deal with these things and come up with corrective plans. And now, you know what I mean? You don't wait. He's 12 now, so we need to get to him now. We got a couple of years before this could become a real problem. And when I say
right,
not being able to go to the bathroom, but being able to solve a scientific book and some this and that if I'm 15 and I have a little bit of a mental illness, that could take me over the top because I could be trying to figure out what is wrong with me.
Right.
Even I could be self-destructive because I don't understand why. And when it's really simple, if I have been given permission since I was 5 and 4 years old to, go to the bathroom during the day, but I don't, I'm not forced to, handle. Then your body is trained, like I said. Don't forget, you got this training and conditioning to, go to the bathroom on yourself. When you see those machines where they have it where the older people, if you have a bladder condition, you can just put the machine and go to bed and it'll suck all that. You know what I mean? That's lazy.
Right. Laziness.
So
Right.
that's lazy as hell. Okay. And again, I'm not saying for people who have a real bladder issue, you might need it. I understand. But for somebody who just is like, 50, 60 years old and decided, hey, I'm at the right age where I just want to put this in and sleep all night instead of getting my ass up. That's
Right. That's lazy. Yeah.
yeah. So just okay. So that's a grown person. So now we're going back to this child who doesn't even want to do this, but this is what their parents have been letting them do. Now you got a grown man who's doing the same thing because
Right.
this grown 25-year-old man walk around with a dependent. You understand what
Mm.
I'm saying? These are the
Right.
and when we're talking because this is the kind of therapy that I'm dealing with. I'm not dealing with um, the medicating or any of that. I'm dealing with how do we connect, make the connection in your brain? How do we tap into what makes you tick? What makes
Right.
you work? Because again, we all have different learning styles, but people with mental differences and challenges, not even necessarily just differences, it takes a little bit. It may just be something else.
How long does it take you to? Because I know you being in the field. How long does it take you to recognize the, I guess, different learning patterns? Because
Well,
I know you see it.
let me say this: I'm a tech,
Okay.
so I don't come up with the plan. So the
Okay.
therapist and the primary care physician, and and even the school people who do the IEP, those people work together and go over the history of the person, so you can see,
Okay.
what's working, what doesn't work. Yearly, so yearly they do a reassessment of
Okay.
the goals and where are we with the goals? Have we reached the goals? What goals can we cross off because we actually reached this goal?
Hmm.
Goals as simple as for the younger ones maybe washing dishes. One of the children like he washes dishes better than I wash dishes. Why? Because he started a year ago and that was one of his goals. I will be able to wash my own dish and just basic stuff again because it's about being independent and
Right.
also seeing what makes this child's mind work versus
Right.
like, I just tell my daughter go and again I tell my daughter go wash the dishes. They might not go. I tell her at 12 they might not get washed till 7. Again, how does her mind work? Same as this child. This child may do that, and you don't want them to wait till 7. You want them to do it right then. So you have to say, well, what? Okay, he never does anything when I tell him to do it. He'll get to it eventually, but I want him to be responsible and make the move when I say make the move. Not 5 hours later, not stay on the game for 2 hours and then go do what I want
Right.
to do. So then that's when you come up with again rewards. Okay, if you want to play the game, then we need to see you go through all the proper stages of doing it. Stuff like this, and I'm saying this for example, but because it can be that basic, and then it can go to again. We have a child who reads at sophomore college level in their 12, but they can't count $2.27. You know what I mean? Because
Right. Right.
yeah, and you would be surprised because it gets very frustrating for them because they wonder why it's like that. They wonder why it's a breeze to do all this wonderful stuff in one area and then get frustrated at this. So we have to figure out how do we get them to slow down and show as much interest in this to be able to digest the information and work with the information
Right. So you have to manage a balance.
and manage a balance and also
Hmm.
you have to figure out how to get them in a balance because again we're dealing with a child who if I love it, I'm gonna master it. If I
Right.
don't care about it, I don't care. And that's the difference between you and I. You and I know we of course the stuff we love we're gonna do, right? But the stuff we don't
Hmm.
necessarily love, we gotta do that too. Right? we gotta do all of it. Well,
Right.
this child in their mind is like, I don't like it. I'm not doing it. You can't make me F you. And it
Right.
become that kind of a struggle. Not because they're terrible, but it's because just imagine um, you know how to drive a car, but you can't ride a bike. So you're driving this car, you're driving this car, you're driving, but you can't. For the life of you, can't ride this bike.
Kind of like Joe Biden.
I
I'm
made
sorry.
that joke, okay.
I'm sorry. I don't mean to joke. We serious. I'm sorry.
President, no,
I'm
but
sorry. I'm sorry, Fela. I don't mean to. I'm sorry. I had a little humor. I'm sorry.
go. But yeah, I don't know. I didn't even know I was just this frustrated about half of this stuff as soon as we started discussing it.
Right. Well, like I said, we here to give you your flowers because it sounds like the field that you're in is very short help, and so a lot of that
A lot of people,
load
a
is
lot
on.
of help. It's just a matter of it's still in the developing stages because again, this is kind of like okay, after all else failed, we better figure out what we can do because we need something outside this medication. We need
Right.
to be doing something
Ooh,
besides
say that again. Say that again.
again and again. We need something besides this medication. We need to get to the root and the heart of the matter and get into the minds of these children and figure out what makes their minds work. And once we figure it out, we need to challenge them to use all of their whole brain. Because one thing I can tell you about all these children, they're all brilliant in their own way. They're all brilliant.
Right.
All of them. All of them. Even the ones who like I said, they're so retarded that you can look into their and you would just trip on what they know and you think they don't know. You know what I mean? Because the communication is not there. Like I'm not necessarily verbal, but I can show you
Hmm.
all of my actions so you know exactly how I feel about what's going on around here. And again, I've seen it so much and it's very frustrating. And
Right.
like I said, it's hurtful to me because I'm looking at the challenge and it's almost like you want to speak for the child, like, hey, come over here and fuck with your kid. Your kid
Right.
wants attention, but you can't, you can't do
Right. You
it,
can't do that. Right.
and the child wants to even say, Mom, hey, bitch. And I'm like, excuse me, y'all. But that's
You
how I
good?
feel. It's like, hey, your child wants you to, like, your child wants to be a part of this whole engagement. But,
Hmm.
when you have a nonverbal child, and like I said, parents sometimes just get tired. I get it. I get it.
Right.
But as tired as you get, you got to be just the parent you are, for the rest of your life. It's a commitment. And when you have a special child, that's just what they are. They are special. Okay,
Right.
they're special. They're more special than my children. Okay, and I feel like my children are very special. But your children, special needs children, they are very special, and they are all of our children. And like I said, I don't
Right.
care what race they are. All of the special children, they're so special that they're all of our responsibility. We're all responsible for them. We're responsible for the families because again,
Mhm.
you don't know the stress. I thought single parenthood was something, but
Right.
just imagine single parenthood. There's single parents with children with autism and with
Right.
ADHD. Yeah, it is a challenge, and I mean, because like she's saying, hats off to me. Hats off to the parents who have done it and are doing it, and
Right.
again, get the help that you need and the support that you need and deserve. If you deserve it, the children deserve it again. Our communities need to wake up because those men and women who are in prisons and even the ones who are not in prison, the ones who are on the corners, begging on the freeways, begging, will do this and that for 50 cents or whatever. Those are the mentally challenged children. Those are the people.
Right.
Those are the ones who we shoved into the classrooms and pushed them through special ed, special needs, behavioral, blah blah blah. Those are them. And that's our community. And we are responsible for them. So every time you see somebody standing on a corner, every time you hear about all those black and brown men and women in prison, you remember that those are the children that you walked past. Those are the moms that you didn't give a damn about when they were struggling, but not just in single parenthood, even the moms and the dads, the families who are struggling, trying to figure out, you know, how to raise this child who is behavioral. You know what I'm saying? The children were shooting up the schools. And then it's not just shooting up schools. The ones who are not shooting up schools, they're doing something else. Okay, they're
Right.
destroying their own personal lives and families. And again, it takes a community to come up with solutions for these children. It takes a community to come up with resolve for, even like I said, the whole family. We can't just um, allow for people to be out there without the tools to be successful. And
That's right.
also, again, we can't turn a blind eye, because these are our neighbors, these are our children. These could be the women and the men that your children, your grandchildren decide to marry. Because again,
Mm,
brilliant, they're all beautiful people, but one little slip, and your child could end up with somebody with a real mental health issue that was never dealt with in childhood, and you could be a victim of that situation. So we need
wow.
to be dealing with our children now, and we need to be making sure to give these boys, especially, and like I said, we're talking about any specific race, men. The boys need to have the proper tools to be men. Okay, because if you don't give men the tools that they need, when you see them as men, you're going to see the result of them not
Right.
being ushered into manhood properly. No proper rites and passages whatsoever. Again, women, we are kind of naturally nurturers. We kind of figure it out. We kind of have that. But men, you turn a boy off. You turn, you shame a boy. You make a boy feel like he's nothing, and there you got a broken man.
Mm,
Okay. And so we got to deal with that again, because women, how we could be great, and what if God was a woman? But again, we need each other. There's no man without woman, no woman without man. None of that
you
shit
said it.
matters. Okay,
Yeah.
so we need each other, and we need to be good stewards over these children that the Most High allows us to bring into the world. And again, we can't give up on any child because their behavior is off, they're chemically imbalanced, they little fast, they little thuggish, whatever. Those are the ones that we need to pull in, because underneath all of that, there's a jewel there. There's a jewel there. Okay.
Right. Well, Fela, I want to thank you. You got to join us again. Therapy Thursdays.
Absolutely.
You know, audience is loving you. Please say you'll come again.
Absolutely.
Okay, good,
For
good,
sure. We
good.
can talk about
Because
some adult mental health too. We'll go there. We're
I
gonna
wanted to go there. Right, 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 right. But we only got an hour show. But that's why I said I want you to come back because I want to talk about some of these adult suits. I was leading there, but
yeah,
I know you were on the roll, so I said, well, let me let Fela do her thing because But yeah, because when you talked about marriage and all that, then yeah, you're dealing with adulthood. So we gotta come back next Thursday,
right, right.
same time.
Absolutely. Yep. And hopefully I'll be set up correctly. I'm still
Oh,
on my talk set.
oh, okay. All right. Well, Fela, same time next week because, like I said, we your audience is loving you. You know your stuff, and we just like nipped the surface today.
Right.
That's all we did, and I know you got so much more to share with us, and I know you got so much because you have a lot of experience. You put in a lot of work, so we need you back for a couple of Thursdays if you don't mind.
I'm here for you.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm here for you.
You
Absolutely.
know, man, come on, fam. You know how we roll. We know how
Get
we
some
roll.
more good folks in, because we all need to be chopping it up and putting good knowledge out for. Like I said, it takes a community of us who really have different areas of expertise and just knowledge.
Mhm.
We ain't got to be an expert, but we need some mothers on here who have actually dealt with vaccinations. All three of my adult children have never been vaccinated, and I would love to have like a panel of anti-vaxxers on. Again, so
Let's do
I'm
it.
not necessarily an expert, but if you're a mother and you've raised some children successfully, then you're an expert in your field. you know,
That's right.
and father. We don't forget the fathers. Yeah.
Right. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. Well, line up the topics because, like I said, this is like you said, anti-vaccine, the adults with the mental problem. Let's do this, Fela. Because I mean, I'm telling you, this is Therapy Thursday. So you are the queen of Therapy Thursday. So we expect you back here every Thursday. So y'all know because a lot of shows I do, I don't be consistent, but this one's gonna be consistent. So
Yeah.
I told everybody, look, this is gonna be the time. This is gonna be the day for Fela because you got a lot of stuff to share with us. So yeah, we are going to be here every Thursday, and you're gonna share. Like I said, this is your show.
Let's get it lined up and get some good guests. And I would love to bring a few psychologists. So any of your guests who are, like I said, mothers, psychologists, and
Okay.
anti-vaxxers and stuff like that, to care to join us and get in on the conversation. And again, just
Well, I'm just here to do the technical. So it's on you, Fela. It's your show. Thursdays is your show.
it's our
Yeah. So like I said, if you need any help with the technicals, I'm here. But hey, that I'm gonna leave that up to you. Like all the guests and everything, and because I know what topics you wanna. You the expert, so whatever you want to touch on. All right, all right, Fela. So
Thank you so
thank you.
much.
So yeah,
Enjoyed chopping it up.
so what you want to deal with next week? The vaccine or the adult? The behavioral
We'll
thing.
figure it out. Let's do. We'll talk about it later and surprise the folks.
Okay, I'm with it. I'm with it. Okay.
All right.
All right, Fela.
Bye, y'all.
All right, y'all. We out. Peace. Thank you, Fela.
See you next Thursday.
All
Bye.
right, next Thursday. Hey, y'all. Next Thursday, be on time, everybody. Next Thursday, 8 o'clock Eastern, 5 o'clock Pacific. Am I right, Fela?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. I'm time.
Okay.
Yeah.
Eight,
Yeah.
8 o'clock. Yeah. 8 o'clock your time.
Okay. Cool. Cool. All right. So,
Right.
thank you
I'm in
so much.
Cali. You're at ATL.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
All right.
Okay. Peace.